Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel. For anyone who doesn't know me, my name is Sara Kelly and I'm an ADHD Mindset Coach. Today I want to talk about having ADHD as a late diagnosed woman specifically, and our self-esteem, our sense of self, and how being undiagnosed with ADHD throughout our adolescence and some of our adult lives, a lot of us were not diagnosed with ADHD until our 30s, 40s, 50s, and beyond, and how that can really impact how we feel about ourselves and how we see ourselves. Because how you see yourself and how you feel about yourself, your level of self-confidence, is absolutely going to be your guiding North Star. It is one thing to think about, the neurological aspect of having ADHD. People with ADHD have a 30 to 40% delay in our prefrontal cortex. Our prefrontal cortex is where we house our executive function. So things like ordination of tasks, emotional regulation, our working memory, impulsivity, just to name a few, all come from our prefrontal cortex, and as ADHDers we have a delay in that, so we struggle in those areas. The other thing that we struggle with is producing dopamine, that motivation and happiness neurotransmitter, as easily as neurotypical people are able to. Sometimes making bad choices because we're impulsive and we're chasing dopamine. We don't get the same reserve from dopamine of doing a simple task. Our brains are so busy, we're on to the next thing. Whereas neurotypical people, when they complete a task, they get that hit of dopamine, and we just don't have access to it in the same way. Now, does that mean that we can't do things through neuroplasticity, through diet, exercise, medication, prioritizing sleep to bring up our dopamine levels? Absolutely. And I have a video linked all about getting natural dopamine. So that is the neurological part of having ADHD. I want to talk today about the emotional part of having ADHD. This is a stat that I've shared a lot on this channel, but this video particularly, it is so important to note that the average child by age 10 who has ADHD, whether it's diagnosed or not, will receive on average 20,000 pieces more of negative feedback than a child who doesn't have ADHD. And ADHD has nothing to do with intellect or IQ. So therefore, if we are being subjected to more criticism, maybe our attention to detail isn't that good. Maybe we didn't fit in when we were in school, or we were that daydreamer, or maybe you were told that you were too much. It's something that I was told a lot when I was a youngster. That absolutely is going to affect our self-esteem, our self-worth. And as soon as we decide that we should not show up, that's it. It's game over. It doesn't matter how much dopamine we have available or not, or how our executive dysfunction is getting in the way. So if how we feel about ourselves, our abilities, how we see ourselves is our guiding North Star, whether or not we decide we can or we can't do something, I would say that it's pretty important for all ADHDers to have a really healthy sense of self, so that we're only dealing with the executive dysfunctions and the lack of dopamine, both which can be improved with systems like timers, calendars, sticky notes, and then dopamine, diet, exercise, and making sure that we're prioritizing sleep. So that all aside, if somebody has a healthy sense of self and they're only dealing with the neurological aspect of ADHD, although it's still challenging, there are a lot of things that we can put in place and a lot of things that we can set up so that we can thrive with having ADHD. So now that we understand that there are things that we can put in place, I want to talk today about our self-esteem, our sense of self, and our self-worth. If you are anything like me and you have an internal narrative that can be negative and self-defeating if it's not watched closely, then I want to offer you 3 tips that you can use right now, today, to improve your self-worth and your self-esteem so that we can peel back that one layer so that we're just dealing with the ADHD. The first tip is to really do your best to be aware of the things that you're saying to yourself about yourself. So let's say that you are late and you're someone who is a notorious showing up late to the thing ADHDer. Something that would not serve you is saying something like, I'm always late, therefore I'm a failure and I'm unreliable. If you are the type of person to say things like this to yourself and you're able to have a glimpse into the present moment where you catch yourself and you're like, okay, I am having negative self-talk again. Something that you can do that has helped me a ton and has helped the women in my coaching program is to get curious about what the end goal is with this internal chatter. So I'm sitting here, I'm late, I'm beating myself up for it, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm late again. I'm always late. I screw everything up. I'm so undependable. If I can catch myself in that moment and go, okay, I'm doing it again. I'm talking to myself in a way that's not serving me. Just simply going, okay, what is the end goal with all of this self-talk that really isn't good for me right now? It's not going to make me any more on time. It's not going to make me feel good about myself. And being inside our head too long in this negative way is not only a waste of time, but it absolutely damages our self-worth and self-esteem. So I love the idea of just getting curious about these thoughts because they immediately put me in check. I am able to say, okay, I'm doing it again. I'm talking negatively about myself and then calling myself out saying, okay, what is the end goal with this? And there is none. It immediately, like the drop of a dime, puts me into check because I know that I'm not saying things to myself about myself that are serving my highest good. Now, the second tip that I have, if you do catch yourself being hard on yourself, is to do what you can to snap yourself back into the present moment. When we are playing mental movies in our head, when we are anticipating something in the future or reliving something, maybe a mistake that we made from the past, we are not actively in the here and now. So what can we do to bring our attention back to the here and now if we catch ourselves in our head, maybe maladaptive daydreaming in a negative way or reliving something that's already happened, or again, anticipating something that hasn't happened yet? Find anything that you can do using your five senses to bring you back into the present moment. Maybe get a nice smelling candle if one is in your home and smell it and think about the smell that you're smelling. That brings us into the present moment. Maybe start counting your breath, counting 1 in, 1 out. That also brings you into the present moment. Or if you really want to do a full body ADHD friendly meditation, close your eyes, find a place to sit and spend 5 minutes trying to feel all the sensations in your body, starting at the tips of your toes, going all the way up to the top of your head. That forces us to get into the present moment, and when we are in the present moment and aware of it, we're not living in our head or damaging our self-esteem. And the final tip that I have to help you build your self-esteem and self-confidence if you are an ADHDer, and my final tip is to start taking an inventory of everything that you are doing right, no matter the size. I got up this morning and I didn't press my snooze button. That's a win. I wasn't late for work. That's a win. I got that project done on time, even if it wasn't perfect. That's a win. Every time you validate a small win that you have, you are counterbalancing those moments when you are beating yourself up. Listen, friends, whatever we focus on will expand. And if we are in an expectant energy of looking for things that aren't working out for us, that are looking for things that we have done wrong, we're going to find more of it. One of my favorite sayings is, where your attention goes, energy will flow. So if you do struggle with your self-esteem, start looking for the things that you are doing right, even if they seem so tiny. Start that positive feedback loop, feeding it the things that you are kicking butt at. And if you'd like to know a little bit more about the feedback loop, I have that video linked here as well. Thank you so much for watching today. I hope if you are someone who does struggle with your self-esteem, you are now going to try these 3 tips so that you can move that needle in the right direction. Remember, with ADHD, we should be striving for progress over perfection and not hold ourselves to neurotypical standards. And if you aren't already following my channel, please hit the subscribe button and turn on your notifications so that you never miss a video from me. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you next week in the next video.